A ban on minors undergoing gender transition procedures now in effect across South Carolina. The controversial law also has some implications for transgender adults and for some educators.
State House reporter Mary Green has the details from Spartanburg, where the governor and lawmakers marked the new legislation today.
Governor Henry McMaster made a trip Wednesday to the most conservative region of South Carolina, here in the upstate, to celebrate a new law that's similar to legislation that's been enacted in around 24 other red states. The governor, Republican lawmakers, and conservative groups marked the enactment of what's formally called the Help Not Harm Act on Wednesday at First Baptist North Spartanburg. The new law bans minors in South Carolina from undergoing gender transition procedures, including hormone therapy, puberty blockers, and surgeries, the latter of which doctors testified weren't being performed on minors in South Carolina before this. It also prohibits state dollars from directly or indirectly going toward these procedures and bans Medicaid from covering them for anyone, minors and adults. The law now requires certain school staff notify parents about information concerning their child's gender identity, like if they ask to use a pronoun or a title that doesn't align with their sex.
And I know there's some folks standing out here outside the walls of this building today that don't particularly care for what we did. But it's past time that we protect our children.
But opponents of the legislation say the so-called Help Not Harm Act will have the opposite effect on an already marginalized group of South Carolinians and their families.
Some have said we might have to consider moving out of state. Others have considered how they can accommodate still living in South Carolina because they might not be economically able to do so while seeking treatment elsewhere.
The ACLU of South Carolina says it's weighing all its options right now, including potential legal challenges to this new law.
Right, last month, a federal court struck down bans in other states on Medicaid money covering gender transition procedures, similar to what's now in effect in South Carolina. That case is expected to make it all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court.